fame, fortune, and a fatal fall from grace. In China's hyper-competitive entertainment world, celebrities are treated like modern royalty, their lives a spectacle for millions. But when the curtain is pulled back, the scandals that emerge are often more shocking than any movie script. From beloved actors caught in webs of deceit to pop idols whose empires crumble overnight, these are the stories of how the biggest stars met their sudden, brutal end. We're about to dive deep into the arrests that stunned a nation. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into true stories. In the summer of 2025, a bizarre and unsettling story began to ripple through the digital communities of Nanjing. It started with whispers about an online personality known as Sister Hong, a figure who had cultivated an air of mystique and a dedicated following. On the surface, it was another tale of internet fame. But the reality, when it was finally exposed by police, was far more sinister and strange than any online drama. In early July, authorities made an arrest that pulled back the curtain on the Sister Hong persona, revealing not a woman, but a 38-year-old man. The shock of this revelation was quickly eclipsed by the details of his operation. This was not simply a case of a man adopting a female identity online. He was accused of orchestrating a vast and disturbing scheme, luring over 1,000 men into sexual encounters, which he would then secretly film. These recordings were not for his private collection. They were a commercial product. He allegedly sold access to the explicit videos through private online groups, turning his deception into a profitable, albeit illegal, enterprise. The news sent a wave of revulsion and fascination across the country. It was a story that touched upon the most modern of anxieties, the fragility of online identity, the potential for digital exploitation, and the dark, hidden economies that thrive in the internet's unlit corners. The case of Sister Hong became a cautionary tale for a generation living increasingly public lives online. It forced a conversation about the nature of trust in a world where personas can be crafted and manipulated with ease. The public was left to grapple with the image of a man who had built an entire world based on a lie, a world where intimacy was a commodity and his partners were unwitting performers in his lucrative and predatory show. The scandal was a stark reminder that behind the screen, the lines between fantasy, fame, and criminality can blur into something truly terrifying. Just a few months earlier, in the spring of 2025, the entertainment world was rocked by a scandal of a different nature, one that traded the digital shadows for the harsh glare of a violent crime. The news involved Wang Da-lu, a beloved Taiwanese actor whose career was built on a foundation of charm and on-screen romance. He was the kind of star whose posters adorned bedroom walls, a leading man known for his easy smile and charismatic presence in hit films that had captured the hearts of millions. His public image was one of a heartthrob, a figure more associated with cinematic love stories than with real-world violence. That image was violently shattered in March when reports surfaced that Wang had been arrested. The charge was not a minor indiscretion or a financial misstep. It was attempted murder. The accusation was so severe, so completely at odds with his public persona, that it was met with widespread disbelief. Fans struggled to reconcile the man they saw on screen with the man accused of a crime that carried the weight of life and death. Details of the alleged incident painted a grim picture of an altercation that had escalated to a terrifying degree. The narrative that emerged was one of a violent confrontation, a moment where the gloss of celebrity life was stripped away to reveal a raw and dangerous reality. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic for his career. Production companies scrambled to distance themselves, endorsement deals evaporated overnight, and his future projects were cast into limbo. The scandal ignited a firestorm of public debate. His supporters rushed to his defense, questioning the allegations and clinging to the image he had so carefully cultivated. Others were quick to condemn him, seeing the case as another example of a celebrity whose fame had shielded a darker side. For the public, the arrest of Wang Da-lu was a jarring story about the sudden and brutal collapse of an idol, a stark illustration that the curated perfection of a movie star's life could be, in the end, just a fiction. Before the scandals of 2025 captured the public's imagination, the end of 2024 was marked by a case that highlighted the increasingly perilous intersection of celebrity, activism, and state power. This story did not involve personal vice or violent outbursts, but was instead centered on the far more complex and charged arena of political dissent. The celebrity at the heart of it was Joseph Tay, a former actor for TVB, Hong Kong's dominant television broadcaster. While not a reigning superstar, Tay was a familiar face to generations of viewers who had grown up watching the network's popular dramas. He was part of the cultural fabric, a recognizable figure from a different era of Hong Kong entertainment. In December 2024, his name re-emerged in the headlines for reasons that had nothing to do with acting. Hong Kong police issued a warrant for his arrest, accusing him of violating the city's sweeping national security law. Tay, however, was not in Hong Kong to answer the charges. He was living overseas, having transitioned from an entertainer to an outspoken activist. The warrant accused him of serious political crimes, including inciting secession and colluding with foreign forces, charges that could carry a life sentence. His alleged offenses were not acts of violence, but acts of expression. He had co-founded a non-governmental organization abroad and had used his platform to criticize the government and advocate for democratic freedoms. From the perspective of international human rights groups, he was exercising fundamental rights. From the perspective of the authorities, he was a fugitive engaged in subversive activities. The case of Joseph Tay was significant because it demonstrated the long reach of the security law and the government's willingness to target critics regardless of their location or profession. His past as an actor made the warrant more newsworthy, transforming a once familiar entertainer into a wanted man in a high-stakes political drama. The arrest warrant served as a chilling message to others in the public eye, illustrating that the line between acceptable commentary and criminal behavior had been redrawn, and that even a former television actor could find himself on the wrong side of a law that had reshaped the very definition of dissent in the city. In the autumn of 2023, a different kind of celebrity scandal unfolded, one that exposed a cynical rot at the heart of the influencer economy. This time, the stage was not a film set or a concert hall, but the rugged, mountainous terrain of Sichuan province, a region that has often been the focus of national poverty alleviation efforts. Here, a group of internet personalities had built massive online empires on a foundation of fabricated hardship. Led by figures like Liangshan Mengyang, these influencers presented themselves to millions of followers as the children of the mountains, living simple, impoverished lives. Their videos were a masterclass in emotional manipulation, featuring tales of family illness, personal struggles, and the daily grind of rural poverty. They cultivated an image of authenticity and resilience that resonated deeply with a public eager to support those less fortunate. This sympathy, however, was not just a byproduct of their content. It was the entire point. It was a currency they expertly converted into cash. Once they had captured the hearts and minds of their audience, they would pivot to live stream e-commerce, selling agricultural products and local specialties. The narrative was powerful. Buying their products was not just a transaction, but an act of charity, a way to help these struggling individuals. The truth, when it was revealed by authorities, was a brutal betrayal of that public trust. These influencers were not poor farmers. They were the highly paid actors in a sophisticated marketing scheme run by professional management agencies. Their poverty was a carefully constructed set. their struggles a scripted performance. The police investigation revealed a network of deception, with teams hired to inflate viewership numbers and post fake comments to boost engagement. In September, the entire charade came crashing down. Police arrested more than 50 people, including the celebrity influencers and the executives from the companies that had packaged and promoted them. The case exposed a cynical industry that preyed on the goodwill of ordinary people, turning genuine compassion into a tool for profit, and tarnishing the very idea of authentic connection in the digital age. The year 2023 had already been marked by a case so gruesome it seemed to belong to the realm of horror fiction, not the glossy pages of celebrity magazines. In February, the disappearance of Abby Choi, a 28-year-old Hong Kong model and socialite, sparked immediate concern. She was a prominent figure on the fashion circuit, known for her impeccable style, her wealth, and a life that seemed, from the outside, to be a modern fairy tale. But the search for the missing model ended in a discovery of unimaginable horror. In a village house on the outskirts of the city, police found her dismembered remains. The details that emerged were stomach-churning. Parts of her body had been cooked, and her skull was later found in a large soup pot. The investigation quickly zeroed in on a group of suspects that made the crime all the more shocking: her ex-husband, Alex Kwong, his brother, and his parents. The alleged mastermind was her former father-in-law, a retired police sergeant. The motive, authorities believed, was a financial dispute over a multi-million-dollar luxury apartment that Choi owned. The ultimate cruelty of the case lay in the fact that Choi had reportedly continued to financially support her ex-husband and his family long after the divorce, even employing her former brother-in-law as her personal driver. Her generosity, it seemed, had been met with a level of greed and brutality that defied comprehension. The manhunt for her ex-husband culminated in a dramatic scene at a waterfront pier, where he was caught with stacks of cash and luxury watches, allegedly attempting to flee the city on a speedboat. The murder of Abby Choi was not just a celebrity scandal. It was a story of profound human depravity that captivated and horrified the public. A chilling tale of how a life of glamour and kindness could be extinguished by the very people she had tried to help. Just a few months prior, in September 2022, the Chinese entertainment world experienced a different kind of implosion, one that demonstrated the state's absolute power to erase a star from existence overnight. The celebrity at the center of this storm was Yifeng, an actor and singer who stood at the pinnacle of his profession. He was not just a star, he was an idol, a national treasure, whose wholesome, squeaky clean image had earned him legions of devoted fans and lucrative endorsement deals with some of the world's biggest brands. His public persona was that of a model citizen, a role model for the nation's youth. That image was irrevocably destroyed with a single, blunt social media post from the Beijing police. The announcement was brief and devastating. Yifeng had been detained for soliciting prostitutes. The statement added that he had confessed to the act and had been caught on multiple occasions. For his millions of fans, the news was a seismic shock. The man they had admired was a facade. The fallout was instantaneous and absolute, a textbook example of the cancellation of a tainted artist. Within hours, more than a dozen major brands, from luxury jewelers to beverage companies, publicly severed their ties with him. His name was stripped from television awards he had won. His music was pulled from streaming services, and his hit TV shows vanished from online platforms. His personal and studio accounts on Weibo, with their tens of millions of followers, were shut down. In the space of a day, Yifeng was digitally erased. His case became a powerful and chilling symbol of the government's crackdown on celebrity immorality. It was a clear message that no amount of fame or fortune offered protection from the state's mandate for moral purity in its public figures. The scandal was less about the crime itself and more about the swift, total, and unforgiving nature of the consequences, demonstrating how quickly a national idol could become a non-person. The downfall of Kris Wu was a cataclysmic event that ripped through the foundations of the Chinese entertainment industry in the summer of 2021. For years, he had been more than just a pop star. He was a cultural phenomenon. As a former member of the supergroup EXO, the Chinese Canadian idol commanded a level of adoration that bordered on religious fervor. He was a fashion icon, a brand ambassador for luxury labels, and a fixture in blockbuster films. His image was one of cool, international swagger, and his power seemed limitless. That power was challenged and then utterly dismantled by a university student named Du Meiju. She went public with accusations that Wu had a pattern of luring young women, often underage, to parties under the guise of work opportunities, only to ply them with alcohol and assault them. Her detailed, damning account opened the floodgates. More women came forward with similar stories, painting a chilling portrait of a predator hiding in plain sight, protected by his fame and a team dedicated to silencing his victims. The scandal ignited a firestorm, becoming China's most significant Me Too moment. The public watched, transfixed, as the narrative shifted from celebrity gossip to a serious criminal investigation. In August 2021, the illusion shattered completely when Beijing police arrested him on suspicion of rape. The subsequent trial was held behind closed doors, but the verdict, delivered in November 2022, was unequivocal. Kris Wu was found guilty and sentenced to 13 years in prison, after which he would be deported to Canada. The sentence was a stunning conclusion to a saga that had exposed the darkest side of celebrity worship and the abuse of power. It marked a turning point, signaling that the shield of fame was no longer impenetrable and that the voices of victims, once dismissed, could now bring down an empire. Just months before Kris Wu's arrest, the career of another top-tier celebrity, actress Zheng Shuang, had already imploded in a scandal so bizarre and shocking, it left the public reeling. Known for her roles in popular idol dramas, Zheng Shuang commanded a massive and fiercely loyal fan base. Her public persona was often erratic, but her fame was undeniable. That fame disintegrated in January 2021, when her former partner released a series of explosive audio recordings and documents. The revelations were breathtakingly callous. The couple had used 2 surrogates in the United States to have children, but after their relationship fell apart before the babies were born, Zheng Shuang was allegedly recorded expressing frustration that the pregnancies could not be terminated and discussing the possibility of giving the children up for adoption. The idea of abandoning her own children, spoken about with such cold annoyance, sparked a wave of public revulsion. The concept of surrogacy is itself a highly controversial and legally gray area in China. But her attitude toward the unborn children was seen as a profound moral failure. The backlash was instantaneous and overwhelming. She was condemned by government bodies and state media, and the luxury brands she represented dropped her in rapid succession. But her troubles were only beginning. The surrogacy scandal put her under a microscope, and investigators soon uncovered another, more tangible crime: massive tax evasion. Authorities found she had used deceptive contracts to hide a portion of her vast income, and they slapped her with a fine of nearly 300 million yuan. This second offense sealed her fate. Zheng Shuang was officially blacklisted. Her work was scrubbed from the internet, and she became a pariah. Her downfall was a stunning spectacle of self-destruction, a case where personal irresponsibility spiraled into a career-ending catastrophe that served as a stark lesson in public accountability. Later that same year, in August 2021, the industry witnessed yet another meteoric fall from grace. But this one was different. It wasn't about sex or money, it was about politics and history. The actor Zhang Zhehan had just reached the zenith of his career. After years of steady work, he had skyrocketed to A-list stardom following his role in the wildly popular historical drama Word of Honor. His future seemed boundless. That future lasted only a few months. His career was obliterated by a handful of old photographs that surfaced online. The pictures showed him posing at the Yasukuni Shrine in Tokyo, a site that honors Japan's war dead, including convicted war criminals from World War II. To much of the Western world, the significance might be lost, but in China, the shrine is a potent symbol of Japanese militarism and a deeply painful reminder of the atrocities of the war. For a Chinese celebrity to be seen, there was not just a misstep. It was seen as a profound betrayal, an act of unforgivable ignorance at best, and an endorsement of historical revisionism at worst. Another photo showed him at the Nogi Shrine, which honors a general involved in the brutal Port Arthur massacre. The online outrage was swift and merciless. Nationalist sentiment, amplified by social media, erupted into a firestorm of condemnation. Within a single day, all 25 brands he endorsed, from beverage companies to jewelers, announced they were terminating their contracts. His name was removed from his TV shows, his music was taken down, and his social media accounts were deleted. Unlike other scandals that involved a legal process, his cancellation was instantaneous and absolute, carried out by the court of public opinion and ratified by the industry. Zhang Zhehan's case was a stark illustration of the potent force of nationalism in modern China, and the existence of political red lines that celebrities cross at their own peril, demonstrating that a career built over a decade could be demolished in a matter of hours by a ghost from the past. The precedent for these sudden dramatic reckonings was set years earlier by a scandal that served as the original earthquake for China's modern entertainment industry. In 2018, Fan Bingbing was arguably the most famous actress in China and one of the most recognizable in the world. She was a red carpet staple at Cannes, a star in Hollywood blockbusters, and an omnipresent face in advertising. She was the epitome of untouchable A-list glamour. Then, in the summer of that year, she vanished. For nearly 3 months, she was completely absent from public view. Her social media went silent, and her whereabouts were a mystery, sparking wild speculation both at home and internationally. Was she in hiding? Had she been detained? The silence was deafening. In October, the Chinese government finally provided the answer. Fan Bingbing had been under secret detention while authorities investigated her for tax evasion. The investigation revealed she had used a system of dual yin-yang contracts. One contract showing her official lower salary for the tax authorities, and a second, secret contract for her real, much higher payment. It was a common practice in the industry, but Fan Bingbing was made the example. She was ordered to pay an astronomical sum in back taxes and fines totaling over 883 million yuan, the equivalent of more than 127 million US dollars. She re-emerged with a groveling public apology, expressing her shame and deep remorse. While she avoided criminal charges by paying the fine, her career was left in tatters. The case of Fan Bingbing was a monumental warning shot from the government. It signaled a new era of scrutiny and control over the entertainment world, making it unequivocally clear that no star, no matter how powerful or internationally renowned, was above the law. Her disappearance and punishment reset the rules of the game for everyone, ushering in a cold winter for the film industry, and forever changing the relationship between celebrity, wealth, and the state. From tax evasion to murder, these stories reveal a consistent truth. In the high-stakes world of Chinese celebrity, the fall is as swift as the rise. These are more than just tales of individual disgrace. They are cautionary fables about the immense power of the state and a culture that demands moral perfection from its idols, delivering ruthless consequences when they fail. The line between adoration and cancellation is razor thin. What do you think is the biggest reason for these sudden downfalls? Let us know in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed for our next investigation.